Hello, people of the internet. I am Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir, and welcome to another movie review. Tonight I'll be talking about Alita, Battle Angel, which is a film that was released about a week ago in America and was recently released this weekend, as of the time of this recording, over here in Japan. And joining me today for the very first time on my channel, it is an individual, I would say somewhat of a newcomer to the Godzilla YouTuber scene, but has quickly gained a rather impressively large following, and I am proud to have here on my channel today. Give it up for Mr. TitanGoji.
What's up, guys?
So, yeah, TitanGoji and we have collaborated a couple times on his channel. In fact, in celebration of Battle Angel Alita, he and I talked, along with several of our friends, talked about, or gave recommendations on several live-action anime adaptations or manga adaptations that we thought were worth checking out. And you can check out that video over on his channel. So,
That's right.
The movie Alita Battle Angel came out, and it's based on the manga Battle Angel Alita, or Gunmu as it's called in Japan. And just to start things off, did you had any other prior experience with Alita, either the manga or the anime, before watching this film?
I haven't read the manga, but I have seen it at my Barnes and Noble back at home. Saw the movie, actually went ahead and watched the OVA on YouTube.
Okay. Oh, it's actually available on YouTube right now.
Yeah. You could, it's dubbed. I'm not sure if there's one with subtitles out there on YouTube, but I watched it dubbed.
Oh, okay then. And so, what were your feelings towards the anime itself?
Well, it was pretty nice. I did feel like it was rushed. It didn't really give itself time to breathe in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed it, especially I forgot his name, but the English voice actor for Shinji Ikari voiced Hugo.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah, that was definitely a treat.
Cool. And so a lot of people may have already heard this, but when it came to the adaptation of Battle Angel Alita, James Cameron quickly came in and swooped up the rights around the early 2000s, I want to say, and the project was announced in 2003. However, the project kept getting delayed again and again due to James Cameron's well-known affinity for making movies about blue people, and so eventually around. Yeah, and nowadays, he wants to dedicate his career to nothing but those Na'vi and the world of Avatar. Yeah, the Blue Man. He's obsessed with collaborating with the Blue Man Group, for their next album, and so he decided to hand off the reins to another well-known filmmaker by the name of Robert Rodriguez. He was like, "Hey, you, yeah, are you doing anything right at the moment? No, not really. Here's a movie. You're gonna make it. I'm gonna pay for it. Cool." And so there we go. I'm fairly certain that's how it went down.
Also fairly certain that it was right after he finished his recent Spy Kids movie.
Oh yeah, All the Time in the World. And well, you know what? Actually, what was the recent one he did? He did do the Sin City sequel that I believe underperformed in terms of it was critically and financially a disappointment. I believe
it was
yeah. I would agree as well. What else has Robert Rodriguez done? I think he may have had something to do with the what was the vampire movie he did? From Dusk Till Dawn. He made he
was in that with Quentin Tarantino.
Right, and he produced a television series recently.
Yeah, he's also a host on El Rey Network, I believe.
Oh yeah. He essentially started the El Rey Network, which was sort of like a new TV channel that was aimed at the more niche action genre filmmaking, and also gave some spotlight to like cult movies like Godzilla and Bruce Lee films.
There's like a lot of samurai, shogun, martial arts, sci-fi, action, and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. So I feel like I've always been a fan of Robert Rodriguez, even if I haven't seen his whole entire library of films. I still need to watch the El Mariachi films and Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I still want to see those, but funny enough, I end up getting introduced to him through the Spy Kids movies. And say what you will about the sequels, I still think the first movie is legitimately great.
So long since I've seen the Spy Kids movies, but I do remember enjoying them.
Yeah.
I was like really young.
Right. So I was pretty excited when I first heard about this, although I did hear about the movie. I didn't really hear about the entire history about it. I had no idea Battle Angel Alita was ever a thing. I just saw the first trailer came out, and then I heard about all this backstory prior to it. And I was like, okay, so this James Cameron, Robert Rodriguez collaboration. They, obviously both of them are fans of sci-fi and Japanese entertainment. So it's like, yeah, I was totally into how they were going to approach this film. And the trailer itself was enough to get me intrigued. And for you, having seen the anime before, did you had any sort of hype for this movie, or did you follow the history of this movie's making while it was happening?
Well, I actually watched the OVA after I saw the movie.
Okay.
I pretty much had no prior knowledge when I first saw the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I remember, that first trailer hype, like there was a lot of attention circling around actress, but they pretty much like CGI'd her face and her ginormous anime eyes.
Right, that was the one thing that a lot of people were very concerned with. Everyone was like, "Those eyes! What is wrong with your eyes?" I was like, Mr. Plinkett from Red Letter Media. What's wrong with your face? And
I was actually thinking, if they're going to do that, why not make it entirely CGI like they for the Captain Harlock movie?
Yeah, they could have done that.
Flashing it.
Mm-hmm. And having seen the movie myself, I don't think the eyes are that troublesome. For me personally, it's like maybe 5 minutes into the movie and you're already like invested enough in her character to move beyond the eyes. And in fact, I think the eyes work really well in having the character display like the multitude of emotions this character goes through.
But yeah, I was able to like not find it bothersome. Like I definitely got used to it.
And the one thing that I did hear some critics complain about is that how come there aren't any other androids that look as stylized as her, because most of the cyborgs in this movie are mainly like mechanical bodies with normal faces. Here she has a relatively normal body with an abnormal face. But I would say that in terms of what was the name of the big cyborg, like Kruger or something? Krieger?
It was man. He's got a bit of a funky name. I forgot how to pronounce it.
Yeah, but I would say like
it is something along those lines.
Right, and I do think that he at least looks just as, in terms of the face, looks like just as stylized as her, but in like a very different style. And I think that worked for the character as well.
I can't help but think he looks like Rich Piana, if you know who that is. Unfortunately,
I don't. Would you mind explaining to the audience?
Just go ahead and search Rich Piana, and you'll know who I'm talking.
Okay. Yeah. You know what I just found out? Okay, so the name of the big giant hulking cyborg is Gruishka. So it's like a
Yes,
super Russian name.
That's how it's pronounced, I believe.
And do you know who played him?
I do not know who played him. I didn't really look too much to that. I've been pretty busy on my end.
Okay, well, I'm sure you'll be surprised to learn that it was Jackie Earle Haley, the guy who played Rorschach in Watchmen, and the new Freddy Krueger from the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Yeah, Jackie Earle Haley was the big guy, and apparently they did, I guess they didn't bother to CG his face because his face looks like nothing like Gruishka's.
Yeah.
So, good on them. At least they have one other cyborg with a, completely, animated face. And, so I guess to give a brief synopsis as to what this movie is about, essentially it takes place in the far-flung future in 2563 after a cataclysmic war known as the Fall, where pretty much the entire Earth is fucked up, and this is sort of like a post-apocalyptic utopian society, dystopian society, where there's the Sky City and Iron City, which is on the ground, and you got the rich people who are living in luxury up in the Sky City, and you got these like poor people, what's left of humanity from all across the globe, struggling to make the best out of a horrible situation in Iron City. And cyborgs, cybernetic enhancements, cybernetic technology in general is just very common in this setting. And so you have a cyborg scientist named Dr. Dyson, who discovers the wrecked body of a female cyborg. He brings her back to life. He names her Alita, tries to take her under his wing. And she eventually comes to learn more about she having no memory of who she is. She learns all about this world along with the reader, sort of acting as like the audience surrogate, and eventually finding her place in this society by becoming a sort of bounty hunter to bring justice to this horrific world. So I think so far it's a very simple, but it's a very easy premise to get into, especially if you're a fan of cyberpunk themes. Because this movie, definitely is filled with a lot of like that sort of 80s, 90s anime cyberpunk, even like American and Japanese like cyberpunk 80s vibe. And I can totally see why James Cameron himself wanted to make a movie based on this manga, given how some of his biggest movies ever were involved in cyberpunk, such as the Terminator films. And let's see. What were your thoughts on the world of Battle Angel Alita, or Alita Battle Angel?
I will go ahead and admit that as a cyberpunk fan, it's not necessarily like new to me, but overall, I actually like really liked it. So I also like how it kind of made itself unique among other like cyberpunk-esque. Like if you look at something like Blade Runner, it's always nighttime. Everything's dark and gritty with a bunch of neon going everywhere. So it was definitely refreshing to see something different.
Oh yeah, totally. That is definitely the idea, the classic depiction of the cyberpunk aesthetic. As you mentioned, the dark nighttime settings. It's always raining. There's the neon signs.
It's always
shining.
Raining for some reason.
You know what? Maybe it's because of stuff like Blade Runner. That's why I enjoy rain in real life. I love the look of rain. It just adds a lot of motion to a lot of motion and a lot of activity going on to a very dark setting. Anyways, in comparison to Alita Battle Angel, Alita movie takes place mostly in the daytime. There's a lot of sunlight. It's a very orange brownish looking film, and it's almost like are you familiar with a term known as the magic hour?
Kind of.
It's essentially what.
I am familiar. I mean, I am familiar with golden hour, though.
You know what? Then maybe that might be it. Maybe it's not the magic hour, but it's the golden hour. Yeah. So it's that point where the sun is beginning to set, and so that's when the sun shines at its brightest, and it gives everything a very orangish glow to the.
Yes, yeah, that's a golden hour. I honestly really like that aesthetic to it.
Personally, it's like in movies like the Transformers films, especially the first one, I'm not so much that big of a fan of the golden hour because people tend to use this sort of lighting to give everything a very orange and teal motif. And quite frankly, I'm
or it could be that Michael Bay just makes everything orange and teal.
That is very true, yeah. And for a good number of years, I have been sick to death of the orange and teal aesthetic given to a lot of major Hollywood productions. However, I didn't get that feeling here. It felt like, yes, there was this orange like tint to everything during the day scenes. However, I feel like there's still enough vibrancy, there's still enough color, there's still enough visually pleasing scenery here to entice me. And
the visuals overall were really great, and I also feel like the golden hour also helped like make it feel like it was so like full of life in a way.
Yeah, absolutely, totally. And even the right down to the cyborg designs themselves, I liked how unique a lot of the major players in these action scenes look so diverse from each other. And I love how you got like characters that look essentially human, but maybe a mechanical arm or a mechanical leg. You got people with mostly mechanical bodies, but still keep a rather human physique. And then there are people that just look like crazy monsters, especially when you get to the what was that sport called?
Okay.
Motorball.
I almost said rollerball because it's pretty much that.
yeah. It's just like 90s extreme rollerball. And,
which by the way, the original rollerball movie is actually pretty good. I just watched it like last month.
Oh, okay.
I had a good time with it.
I've heard of the movie, but I never got around to watching it. Although, does the addition of cyborgs make the sport better, in your opinion?
Yes, it definitely does.
And let's see. Moving on towards the characters themselves, what were your thoughts towards what was the actress's name? What was your opinion on Rosa Salazar's portrayal as Alita?
I thought she did great as the lead role, and the usual anime fan who compares the live action to the anime, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like she definitely did the character justice. Like in this film, she had a lot of emotion, filled with energy, just great performance as Alita overall.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like the visuals in the movie, like it's definitely like this film's strength. Like it looks amazing.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with you there. I really enjoyed Rosa Salazar as Alita. I feel like she's this very innocent, very joyful, very ambitious character, full of life, full of wonder, full of curiosity. It's almost at the beginning. It this may sound weird to you, but she came off as like adorably optimistic about the world around her.
I definitely felt that.
It's like, oh, look at her. She's so she's like playing around with food, with dogs, motorcycles, like everything is an adventure to her. It reminded me a lot of how Gal Gadot's portrayal of Wonder Woman, especially when Wonder Woman, she's this character who wants to free herself from the Amazon island of Themyscira, and then she goes to man's world, and she's just like overwhelmed with with so much stimuli around her that like she can't help but experience everything at once. And I see a lot of that style of characterization into Alita, and it makes her into such a likable protagonist that by the end you just want to root for her to succeed from the get-go.
Yeah, it's very wholesome too.
Yeah, wholesome. That's totally the word I would like to use. And one thing I'd like to bring up is that she definitely has a bit of this sort of fighting spirit in her, where she, obviously as the movie progresses, you realize that she has, going to minor spoilers here, she realized that she had a past life as a soldier, and so it's like in her programming to know how to kick ass. And she enjoys kicking ass, and she wants to use her powers for good. And also, you can sort of tell that, she was born, she sort of has this like strong competitive fighting spirit. The moment she sees Motorball, she's like, ooh, what's that? I want to do that thing. She also kind of reminds me a bit of Goku, where, or even like Ryu from Street Fighter, where she just has this natural instinct to find the next challenge in her life and to succeed. She has this she has a really real competitive fighting spirit. And I don't think we really see that a whole lot in female characters per se. I could be wrong though, but it was really cool to see this sort of go get him attitude in her.
Yeah, I do feel like a bunch of lead female portrayals these days, it's always the case of, oh, she's to be good at whatever fuck.
Mm-hmm.
In the case of Alita, she actually felt like a character.
Oh yeah, totally. And it's like, I notice with a lot of like protagonists, even among like male characters, both male and female, a lot of these protagonists, they fight not because they want to, but because they have to. Whereas with Alita, it's like she fighting because she has to, and because she wants to as well. It's like, it never really demonizes the fact that she loves to fight. It's never seen as a negative, even though as much as her like surrogate father figure tries to point her in the direction like away from living a violent life, she can't help but want to do it. And it's never really seen, by the second half of the movie, it's not seen as a negative thing that she wants to engage in a more action, more thrilling lifestyle.
And another thing I really like is do you want to go ahead and talk about the action sequences and the fight scenes and whatnot?
Oh yeah, totally. Go right into it.
I just want to say the fight scenes in this movie are absolutely glorious. It's not all what's going on. They're very beautifully very fluently animated because it's CGI and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And there are several cases where Alita does get herself in a bit of a hole at times.
Mm-hmm.
And because the character has been developed so much at that point, and they start to understand her character, it really just adds more depth to the fight and raises the stakes. Where you just really want to shout at the screen, "Go, Alita!"
Oh yeah, totally. The action scenes are extremely thrilling. Each fight feels very unique and different from the last. Like I mentioned,
they're all satisfying to watch too.
Oh yeah, every single hit has tons of impact. You can feel the weight and impact of every single punch and kick and blade that's thrown at her, or any sort of pain that she feels. Despite being a robot with no real blood, you can still feel that the injuries that are in her and other her opponents as well. The fight choreography is amazing. I'm so glad it's none of this shaky cam bullshit that you see in a lot of action movies these days. Maybe because it's maybe it's because the nature of these fights are so stylistic, but even still, I'm so glad this is nothing like say the Transformers movies, which are also movies featuring like robotic, cybernetic beings fighting each other, but the camera is sort of just like shaking around like it's on a roller coaster. With here, it's yeah.
At the time of this recording, the Oscars are actually going on. Also want to mention Black Panther's fight sequences and how they're all like CGI and whatnot.
Yeah.
The fight scenes in Alita, like fight scenes Black Panther, look like
day and night
Nintendo 64 games.
yeah.
Like it's day and night.
Oh yeah, it's like the fights, both the fight choreography, the CG quality, and everything in this movie blows Black Panther out of the sky. It's just like it blows Black Panther away. It's like the fights here are like so much more satisfying than anything that you've seen in like the recent Marvel movies, where, you know, as good as they are, you can tell that a lot of the times in modern Hollywood movies that CG technology is sort of becoming lazier and lazier, where it doesn't feel like they're putting any real effort into making the fights unique or believable. Everything just kind of feels standardized. Whereas with Battle Angel Alita, it felt like there was actual time and care put into their action scenes to make them truly stand out, in my opinion.
And also, like the way they're shot too. Oh my god! Like I can't even describe how beautifully shot they were. It was just so amazing. Like it honestly felt like you were experiencing the adrenaline and high energy that was going on in each fight scene too.
Definitely. I can only imagine what Robert Rodriguez was going through, where he was like, wow, so this is what working with good CG is like? if you've seen Spy Kids 3D, oh man. Oh boy. And yeah, it's also very interesting that, you know, bringing up again Robert Rodriguez is an individual who you know, built his career off of low budget filmmaking, while, you know, he's like the embodiment of someone who is able to use use every cent and making every cent of his budget count, you know, making the most out of what he's got. And in some cases, having an unlimited amount of resources can lead to lazy filmmaking. You know, just look at the George Lucas's, you know, earlier Star Wars movies with the prequel saga, compared to, you know, usually it's like limitation leads to creativity. But I'm so glad that this wasn't the case for Battle Angel Alita, where you have someone who gets everything he wants and ends up, you know, doing something that's subpar. I'm not sure how much James Cameron had a hand in this outside of, you know, signing the paychecks for everything. But I like to think that he provided enough creative input alongside Robert Rodriguez for both of them to put their strengths together. You know, Cameron's more of like let's be as innovative as possible with technology. You know, we have Robert Rodriguez, who's, you know, all about that martial arts, kung fu action. And so it's almost like getting the best of both worlds and bringing them together for like this ultimate cyberpunk collab.
Totally. I definitely, yeah, honestly, I felt Robert Rodriguez's presence and involvement in the film more than I felt James Cameron's.
Okay.
Mostly it has to do with the action sequences.
I'm not sure if this was, like, say, I think James Cameron's CG company is Digital Domain, I want to say. Because I think, like, with Spielberg, it's ILM.
I think I might have heard that Weta Workshop did the CGI.
Oh, Weta. Okay, I'm surprised at that. Yeah, that's Peter Jackson's company, usually.
Might have been Weta.
Okay. Yeah, Weta has always been very known for making very good CGI. I believe they did the... was it District 9?
Let's see.
Because I know they did Kong.
District 9.
Yeah.
And of course, Lord of the Rings and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Weta is I would say Weta is a very reliable visual special effects company. And,
they were actually going to do the special effects for that unmade Neon Genesis Evangelion film.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember you made a video about that, which I highly recommend my viewers to check out on TitanGoji's channel, where he does a retrospective on the rocky history of the Evangelion film that never got made.
It's pretty interesting, actually, and as far as I know, there's not like a whole lot of info as to like what's actually happening with the movie now. Like basically arose between ADV and Gainax, and that pretty much just made the whole thing just not happen.
So it's just like one big clusterfuck. I see then. Let's see. In terms of the characters, like the supporting cast, I feel like they weren't as memorable or as well fleshed out as Alita. However, I still feel like they did just enough to support her. It's like, this is like one of those movies where it's like the supporting cast is not as memorable as the main star, but I feel like they do a good enough job at supporting the main star and helping her help, and they serve to flesh her out as opposed to the opposite.
And I definitely feel the same way. Although I did really like his name was Christoph Waltz, right?
Yeah.
I really liked his performance as Dyson.
Right, he was easily my second favorite character.
And I forgot the name of the actor, but he's the one who played Hiko. I thought his character relationship with Alita did come off as a little corny, but it did do its job, and where the movie gets more bonus points than the OVA. Like that actually went more in depth with like their character dynamics and whatnot.
Oh, really? Okay, so.
They actually felt a lot more fleshed out compared to the OVA.
Okay. Looking at his IMDb, he doesn't have a Wikipedia page, but the actor's name is Kean Johnson. I was very tempted to call him Keegan. But Kean Johnson, he is on two television shows, apparently, called Spooksville, Nashville, and something called Cutthroat City. So I guess like Alita Battle Angel is his like big break into Hollywood, into the movies. And I had no idea who this guy was. And I've heard some
and I'm sure he this movie is probably like his big break, because I mean okay, I don't know how deep into spoilers we're going to go, but towards the end that was enough for him to like make his big break.
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. Yeah, he starts off a bit mild, a bit generic. You know, he comes off as the token love interest. However, where they go with this romance, they go in places I didn't think they would go into, and I applaud the filmmakers for choosing to go in this direction while being
same here.
Yeah, I want to go as vague as possible because I don't want to avoid I want to avoid spoiling what happens. But he definitely sold the part by the end. It starts off a bit slow, a bit predictable. It's like, oh yeah, she has she bats her giant anime eyes at him, anime doughy eyes at him. And it's like, where it's gonna go from there. She's all smitten by the hunky badass biker dude. But it's like it takes an established route and then goes off into a very interesting route with it. I
highly agree with you there.
And let's see, a lot of the cyborgs were fun. Zapan was also a very fun rival for Alita. He was played by the same actress who played Ajax from the first Deadpool movie, and he's essentially playing the same snooty, douchebaggy character he was in that film.
He actually wasn't in the OVA that much.
Really? Okay, so they just took like a minor character if the OVA is a good reflection of the manga, of the source material, then it's possible that like they just took one character and just fleshed him out into something completely new.
But yeah, definitely. It also reminds me of Takashi Miyake's adaptation of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where like just adapting like the first few episodes of the anime.
Mm-hmm.
And for JoJo fans watching, this is the live action part 4.
Oh, okay.
Clarify that.
All right.
Because originally they were going to do Stardust Crusaders, but they got a lot of backlash for that, so they made Diamond is Unbreakable instead.
Wait. Why would they get backlash for trying to make live action Stardust Crusaders?
Okay, so Stardust Crusaders is very battle heavy and whatnot, and as you probably know, in early JoJo, everyone is like absolutely jacked and muscular and whatnot.
Pretty much the exact opposite of your typical Japanese actor, huh?
Yeah.
Everyone's into those like those skinny, J-pop boy band looking dudes.
Yeah, and
pretty boys. That's what I was looking for.
And although the live action Diamond is Unbreakable does adapt like the first few episodes or something like that, they actually fleshed out a lot of the minor characters like in those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the main villain in that movie is actually like a very like minor character, and they did a really good job fleshing him out more.
Okay, so they didn't go straight into Yoshikage Kira.
Right. Okay. Although, spoilers, Kira is the villain in the next movie.
Okay. And, okay, so it's really nice that Japan was like, they took what sort of worked and tried to improve upon it, or try to go in their own direction with it, rather.
Again, I give the movie a lot of credit for fleshing the characters out more than they were in the OVA.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Who was the individual who played Victor? Because I feel like I've seen that actor before.
Remind me who Victor was again?
The main villain.
It was. I think his name was Marshall Ali or something like that.
Let's see. Where I'm looking over at here. Let's see. I think it was. Let's see. Looking down at the list of characters. I really wish. Oh yeah, Vector. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Mahershala Ali as Vector. Yeah. He has a very recognizable face. I was gonna say he kind of looked a bit like who was the actor who played Blade?
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes. Yeah, doesn't he look a bit like Wesley Snipes to you?
Especially when he's dressed in all black with the sunglasses.
It's probably that. Yeah, the fact that he dresses like Blade throughout most of the movie. I thought he was. I will say, like, he does have like a generic supervillain motive. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Performance was really good.
Right,
he had a good performance.
I was going to say, when he's playing someone else, I'm not going to explain how, but during the times where he's playing another character entirely, he's actually, the actor himself is more interesting as that.
Yeah.
And let's see, we had someone who was a rather major player here. Oh yeah, Jennifer Connelly as Dr. Chiron. She played her part good enough. I do wish we kind of saw more of her, perhaps more of her interaction with Dr. Dyson, because she's like in the background for most of this movie, just like glaring at Alita or Dr. Dyson, that we don't really see enough of her as a person, just as this like cold-hearted bitch who only cares about money. And I guess, again, if you've seen other movies before, you know where this sort of, there's two ways where a more superficial character like her is going to go to. Either it's going to go to the comeuppance, getting her comeuppance, or getting having a redemption. And so it's nothing really new with her. I just wish that they given that how her strong ties to Dr. Dyson, you'd think that they would want to humanize her more than, as opposed to what they did in the movie.
I did find her character to be forgettable, and I will say that in the OVA she was even more of a bitch.
Oh, really now?
So yeah, that's a character change that they did. But I mean, I'm not a fan of either version, like anyway. So the difference.
And let's see. We mentioned before Gruishka, played by Jackie Earl Haley. He's definitely not a deep character whatsoever. He's just a big, a big monstrous dude who's just a hired gun to wipe out Alita. And I don't think he needs. Yeah, he doesn't need to be deep at all. He just needs to be a cool enough antagonist for Alita to fight multiple times. And it's almost like a video game where you fight the main boss.
He's the mini boss.
Yeah. He's a mini boss before getting to like the real dude, even though he's actually played
he's basically Goro.
Right. He's the Goro of this series, and it's like he provides a big enough challenge for Alita that by the time she is able to overcome him, spoilers, but it shows that a huge landmark has been made in terms of her growth as a fighter and as a person.
But yeah.
Let's see. And
also really liked the fight between Gruishka and Alita, like underneath that little bar.
Yeah,
That was great.
Absolutely, yeah. That was that was probably like the best fight in the movie, I would say, because like the ending fight is almost a bit too one-sided for my taste. But after that fight, then it got really good.
Yeah.
And let's see. Are there any other characters to mention before moving on?
Let's see. Well, there are also like some of the other supporting characters, like who are basically Hugo's friends. Like I don't think they really got a lot of like depth in their character. So,
true, but I think they were just serviceable. Yeah. Let's see. Moving onwards, the one thing that bothered me the most about this film was its pacing, where the story kept hopping from situation to situation that it didn't really feel like one coherent movie, but rather it felt, you can tell like this is where one chapter of the manga ends and this is where another chapter begins, or this is one episode ends and this is like the next episode. This is the next story arc, mini story arc in this like volume, this extended like volume.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from there. And the pacing was a little all over the place at times.
Mm-hmm. Like first, it was like, go ahead.
But again, like the pacing in the OVA isn't really that good. But I honestly prefer the pacing in the movie.
Oh yeah, it was a little bit distracting for me, seeing how they went from like murder mystery to bounty hunter story to motorball to wipe out the corrupt businessman, take out the corrupt businessman. It's like, you're jumping from plot line to plot line.
There were some parts of it that kind of reminded me of the live action Ghost in the Shell movie, where it was basically, like it pretty much okay. So Alita Battle Angel pretty much started off as, oh, this robot must not know who she really is, whatnot, and I feel like that was ripped straight from the Ghost in the Shell movie.
Oh, okay.
Like in terms of it being presented in a cinematic manner, and there's also the take down the corrupt business plotline.
Right. Although I'm very surprised that, that whole we must hide who she really is thing, it didn't take long for the audience and Alita to find that out, who she is. And it's like...
They pretty much went over that pretty quickly.
Right. And, maybe in the manga this would have been like, several chapters long. But it's like, I'm very glad that they moved on where it's like, now that she knows who she is or what she is, it's what she does with it, with that knowledge, that's like the real challenge there.
Yeah. Unlike in Ghost in the Shell, that's pretty much 75% of the whole movie.
Yeah, I'm very glad about that because it's like the whole I lost my memory storyline has been done to death at this point. So it's nice that we have like a more refreshing take on that sort of thing where sure, she doesn't have all her memories, but she has a good enough idea as to what she is.
And as much as I do love the live action Ghost in the Shell, don't hate me, please.
Right now, meanwhile, the majority of the internet right now is like,
I do feel like there were things in Alita Battle Angel that were done better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so while I do have my qualms with the pacing, it certainly didn't. It wasn't so big of a hindrance that it stopped me from enjoying the movie, for the most part. I would say like maybe I would say it's this pacing, it's very unorthodox and a bit distracting. However, by the time you get back into what this new plot that they're going into, you're back on board and you're like, all right, Lita, let's see you kick some more ass again.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, anything else to talk about before going to final thoughts and ratings?
Do we plan on going into like deep spoilers in this review, or
not so much? I generally try to keep majority of my videos spoiler free in this case. All right. And yeah, it looks like we're approaching the we're already a little bit past the 40-minute mark, so I know it's late on your end, so we'll wrap things up here. It's fine. So, TitanGoji, what are your overall thoughts on Alita Battle Angel, and what would your final rating be? And your rating can be whatever, number you choose to usually go with on your channel.
It's got a lot of heart. I really like the visuals, the action sequences. Like those were really like what sold it for me. However, I did feel like there were times where the writing was a little clunky, especially with the film's pacing, and some of the characters kind of like felt a little at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a perfect movie, but if you're like a fan of science fiction, then I would definitely check it out. And honestly say that it's better than the OVA. Like it's like much better than the OVA. I would give the OVA like, or something like that, maybe 6.5, 7, somewhere in that range.
Can you repeat that again? Oh, can you repeat that again? It looks like you kind of cut out there.
All right. I would give the OVA like somewhere between a 6.5 or a 7, but I would give Alita Battle Angel the movie like a solid 8 out of 10.
Excellent. For me, like you mentioned, it seems like my thoughts on this movie are very similar to yours, where I feel like they did an outstanding job at characterizing Alita, her world, the action scenes, the scenery, the cinematography, the fight choreography. Everything else everything was very spectacular. It was a very spectacle-driven film, and of course, they nailed the spectacle. It's just everything around. It's all the finer details that suffer as a result of putting a lot of focus on Alita and her world. You mentioned some of the characters felt underdeveloped. The pacing feels off. It's almost like, they were maybe perhaps too close to the source material. But again, as someone who has not seen the anime nor the manga, me going in completely fresh, just going in as a fan of movies and cyberpunk movies, I would say that I was very satisfied with Alita Battle Angel, and I would like to see more of this character and her universe. So, yeah, it was a movie that I would definitely recommend to any fan of sci-fi action films, and I would totally give this a solid 4 out of 5 for me. So, that is our review for Alita Battle Angel. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. And a big thanks to TitanGoji for joining me for the very first time on the KaijuNoir channel.
Thank you. It's definitely a huge honor, like pretty much making videos with you in general.
Trust me, man, the pleasure is all mine. And so, do you have anything you'd like to advertise for for the listeners? As to like where they can follow you, or where they can follow you.
Well, you can always subscribe to my channel. I'm actually taking a break from uploading videos right now, and I pretty much announced it like not too long ago. I'm actually going to be reviews of every Godzilla movie throughout the month of May to build up to Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Excellent.
I got that going on. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Like same name, TitanGoji.
Mm-hmm. I will warn you though,
Yeah.
just be careful. Just know what you're getting into when you approach the Heisei series.
Yeah.
So thank you very much again, everybody, for joining us. I have been Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir.
And I have been TitanGoji, or Davis, however you wish to refer to me as.
And until next time, everybody, take care.